Welcome into the Beat Sessions, your place for all things music. I'm your host, Mitchell Weary. Let's talk about this new record from Benjamin Booker entitled Lower. He released that on January 24th. This is the third studio album from Benjamin and his follow-up to 2017's Witness, a marvelous record that combines the retro stylings of blues, gospel, and soul, all within a unique framework that's driven by garage rock and a little bit of punk rock as well. I really admire the way that he is able to fuse all of those sounds together so brilliantly on that record. And that album's lyrics take a raw and candid look at racism and oppression in America. But true to the traditions of blues and gospel and soul, Benjamin writes in a way that translates Black pain into an experience that is ultimately uplifting, focuses on optimism and perseverance. There is a lot that has transpired, though, since the release of that record. And sadly, there's not a lot that has changed. And that is a big part of what makes Lower such a different experience than Witness. I'm really excited to talk about this record. Benjamin, pretty quiet towards the end of last decade after putting out Witness, but he has been busy in the last 4 or 5 years, still making music. He put out the single Black Disco back in 2020, and then was featured on the track Baby Steps by Billy Woods and Kenny Siegel. Working with Kenny Siegel on this project, I think this collaboration is spot on and really one of a kind. I listened to this record and there's such a combination of sounds that's so unique. There's not much out there that I hear that sounds like it, and that's part of what makes it so exciting as well. The other thing that Benjamin has been up to is starting his own record label, and that's a big part of how Lower was able to happen. I think it's part of the reason why Lower took as long as it did. Selfishly, I hope that we don't have to wait another 8 years for his next effort, but I think we can all take comfort in the fact that knowing if that is what goes down, at least it'll be worth the wait. But he talks about the way the powers that be were not excited about the sound of this record. They were not all in on it. And so I love that he has the freedom now to create his own work and to help others create work that is like-minded as well. It's truly cool to have that independence, and I think that it's what is creating such a wider array of sounds and music out there. I love teaming up with Kenny, his hip-hop background, and Benjamin's, call it rock and roll background. There's so many influences driving a sound, but they come together to create a sound that honestly reminds me of Zach De La Rocha meets Leon Bridges meets Otis Redding. And I love listening to Benjamin talk about all the different influences that were driving him during the creation of this project. He talks about the impact of visual art and how that played a big role in just the development of his writing process and how he chose to approach this record. Talks about the poetry of Leonard Cohen and Bob Dylan. I think that that's really cool that he's checking all of that out. And then just the different array of experimental music that he was checking out. Also listening to the likes of My Bloody Valentine, The Cure, Jesus and Mary Chain. So definitely a shoegaze influence there, but also indie hip hop, industrial. There's so many things that have made this such a unique experience. I think sadly, he is still focusing a lot on the same themes. As I said before, there really isn't a whole lot that has changed since the release of Witness. So he seems to have more frustration built in this record. There's more tension, more angst, but also moments where you are feeling that sense of optimism, that sense of perseverance, that sense of needing to overcome, that while highlighting all of the negative things that he does in this record, he's talking about more than just racism and oppression towards the African American community in this record now. I mean, he's talking about violence in general. He's talking about homelessness, talking about drug abuse, a number of issues that are plaguing our society. But he approaches that subject matter in a way that argues that if you're going to fix these problems, if you're going to overcome these obstacles, you need to take a good, hard, honest look at them and then move forward and try to find a way to help. And so I really dig what he's done with this record, the new sound and style that he's developed. And again, I hope that it doesn't take him as long to put out his next project, because I just think that his voice and his sound, it's so one of a kind and so extraordinary, and it's needed at a time like this. So let's get into this track list. I'm really excited to talk about Black Ops, the opening track, talking about the influence of a guy like Zach De La Rocha. One Day as a Lion is what I immediately thought of when I heard this first track. I love the intensity, the echoey, tinny guitar tone. There's up-tempo electric beat that works in, and the fuzzy industrial textures. That's really like the big thing that just like caught me with this track. The vocal is delivered in this hushed sort of whisper, and it builds tension. It creates this mood that, again, a guy like Zach, he is so good at doing that with Rage Against the Machine, with any outfit that he has worked with. And I love the intensity that it creates in this song. And I want to pull up some lyrics too, because they're phenomenal. I love the contrast. It opens up with "Give a little love, they bug the house again. Give a little love, they're on the lawn. Give a little love, they'll kill you while you sleep. Give a little love, this place is gone. And before I get away, I'll be buried in this place. Hallelujah, dying fighting for a life I ain't had yet." I mean, just so intense right out of the gate with this track, focusing on the police state in America. It's really sad the way that that has evolved, the way that it has, especially the way that they have, signal out African Americans and other minorities. So I love that right out of the gate, you get this intense opening track that sets the mood, that sets the pace for what you're about to experience. There are moments that are gentle, that are, honestly, it kind of reminds me a little bit of reggae. We're recording this on February 7th. Yesterday, February 6th, would have been Bob Marley's 80th birthday. And talking about a guy that, the idea of protest music, there's a lot of gentle guitar work on this record, and not that this album sounds like it's got a lot of reggae influences. There's moments where you can hear it a little bit, but I just feel that overall theme of protest music really is at the heart of that song and this record in general. And I like that contrast. I like the moments where Benjamin is just working with a simple acoustic guitar, him and Kenny creating peaceful compositions, gentle compositions that are contemplative. LWA in the Trailer Park is your second track. Pulsating robotic synth ushers in industrial grunge style track, mid-tempo drums, and you get that hushed vocal again. I love the intensity. Lots of chaotic textures that are going to develop in this song, twinkly piano, and it just builds towards this haunting mood so brilliantly. Pompeii Statues is your third track. Dissonant acoustic guitars, quick gaps in the music as this track opens up, but then the rhythm hits to provide a smooth, breezy contrast. And this is what I'm talking about, that breezy kind of just gentle nature of this track. But you read the lyrics and you get this, contrasting icy piano. It's got this oceanic quality. And I'll read some of these lyrics here too. We take off heading downtown, straight up the boulevard, passing the tents on concrete, needles and bottle shards, making a way through the city, queen of angels, into the heart of the city, burning people like Pompeii statues. If you've ever seen any photos from Pompeii, the eruption of the volcano and the aftermath of it, it's just such a haunting image that he creates with that visual and with the lyrics in this song. Really well done. Despite being, kind of tough to stomach. And I think the gentle nature of a lot of the music is what helps you absorb the pain and the angst of this song. Slow Dance in a Gay Bar is your fourth track. Lo-fi wind instruments going to usher in this serenely dynamic atmosphere. This is just another one of those beautiful, gentle moments on the record. R&B with classic pop. There's a little bit of bossa nova, light industrial elements that work in. 70s soul, and I really just like the way that there's this texture in this song that kind of reminds me of like a record that just keeps skipping. It's really quite unique and well done. Speaking with the Dead is your fifth track. Simple double bass, and you get this clicking wood percussive element, foreboding synths that are going to build in on this track, that build in behind the vocal. It's going to build on this industrial intensity, and then the coda just drifts into this really noise-driven space. It's a marvelous track. I really like the intensity, especially coming off the gentle nature of Pompey statues and slow dance in a gay bar. Your sixth track is entitled Rebecca Latimer Felton takes a BBC. Pardon the pardon the slight vulgarity of this track title, but I love what he's doing visually with this song. The combination of pornography and violence. And if you're not familiar with who Rebecca is, Rebecca was the first female U.S. senator, and she was a big proponent for women's rights. She was also massively racist. She supported lynching. And honestly, she was only in the Senate for a day. She was basically just a figurehead put there by men to make sure that they got what they want. So I like the brutality of using her in this example, in this illustration. I mean, it's really going to cut right to the core, and it's brutal in its honesty, and it makes a very strong, solid point. Fantastic song that's got this muted bass drum, shifting, harrowing textures that are ushering this breezy acoustic riff, soft clinking percussion. The drums are going to work in brilliantly on this thing, and then as it hits the coda, it just starts to intensify and to rock out with these frenzied textures, and then fades out. It's an impressive song. It really is pretty cool. New World is your seventh track. Rush of water and twinkly piano opens up this up-tempo breakbeat and simple piano element. Light dance textures that build the atmosphere on this track. Solid blend of alternative rock and electronic, and it really reminded me of Radiohead quite a bit. Same Kind of Lonely is your eighth song. Big mid-tempo rhythm behind fuzzy guitar assault. This is kind of getting back to the energy of opener Black Ops. But I like the way that this song maintains the feel, but it works through different parts with evolving textures so well. The second verse is brilliant in its display, and then this song, the end of it just descends into chaos, and there's a soundbite of a school shooting, and it's going to really rub some people the wrong way, but he makes a very, very solid point when he says that all of these things, they just happen out of nowhere. They just hit us like a ton of bricks all of a sudden in the news. And that's really the effect that it has in the song. And, say what you will about it, but I think it has an incredible impact and really works well. That contrasted with I believe it's his daughter that you can hear laughing after that's followed up. It really I love the lyrics of this song too. It repeats: dream like you want me to, dream like it's me and you. All right, love while we have a chance, love without no romance. All right, if I could make it out tomorrow, if I could start again on my own, if I could be the same kind of lonely. If I could make it out tomorrow, if I could start again on my own, if I could be the same kind of lonely. It's almost like this mantra, this just beautiful poem that I love the intensity of the music, and obviously everything else that's going on, especially in the coda, is really something else. Show and Tell is your ninth track. Acoustic drive with big bass, drum element, has a bit of this breezy island drive to it as well. One of those mellowed out, just kind of just gentle moments on this album. The coda drifts into a mellow jam with a great guitar solo. I really enjoyed that element of that song. Heavy on My Mind is your penultimate track, your 10th song. It's got this single acoustic guitar with great tone. Sound has elements of electric guitar as well. Soft vocal creates this brilliant contrast to everything that's going on with the rest of the music. Soft textures work in and out as the track progresses. And I love the way that his vocal just drifts into this like icy shiver. It really, what he's able to do with that instrument, there's just so much going on throughout this record with his voice that creates such a strong impact, creates the intensity of this album. And Heavy on My Mind is a really good example of that. Hope for the Night Time is your final track. Hollow, echoey bass and percussive elements shift to this drone-like synth with get this like light feeling. It evolves into this soft melody behind the vocal. Drums are going to work in with a simple snare, Rhythm proceeds to develop. Got this playful, rippling synth that works in, and gospel flair that takes hold as the song reaches its end. This is quite a record. I wasn't really that familiar with Benjamin getting into this, and very excited to have had a chance to explore his catalog. It's pretty easy to get through it with the 3 records. There's a couple other projects, some singles, and some stuff to check out. But it's just my hope that with his voice, with his passion, with his perspective, that he continues to be a little more prolific and have more output. Because again, I think that he is the type of artist that the world just needs more of. I think that his perspective is refreshing, but also it's inviting. He's opening up a really dark, bleak world in a way that it makes everybody really want to just like take hold and do better. It's what ultimately I loved about this record, listening to it a couple of times and just knowing that if anything is going to correct itself in this world, in this life, it starts with us and our collaborations with each other. So we're definitely going to vinyl please this record. I'm going to give it an 8.3 out of 10. Definitely one of the more powerful statements to lead off the year so far. Hope you enjoy this record. Hope you find this review helpful as well. Please like this video, share it, subscribe to the channel, and do all the things to help me blow this project up in 2025. Tune in to Classic Wax on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and we will see you next time on the Beat Sessions.